Collectible and classic car prices on BAT are getting a little ridiculous. Is this something to worry about? Does this mean something is happening on the horizon that we need to be thinking about? We're going to talk about that. We're going to go over some cars. This is Bid Nerds. The bidding starts right now. Bid Nerds is your YouTube car game show. Yes, it is, everybody. Welcome to a brand new episode of Bid Nerds. My name is John Polnick. We're coming to you live from the Rummy Studio in downtown Las Vegas, as well as my partner Michael Deeb on the far side of the screen. Who do we got in the middle? An expert. What's going on?
Please, ladies and gentlemen of the Nerd Herd, welcome Michael Graubart. You know him as Michael Motorcar, the low mile king, all the way from New Jersey. Michael, thank you so much. Right off of our deal sheet and into your living rooms. We are so excited to have you on the show, dude. We've been watching your cars and all the great photography and all the great cars you've got. Thank you so much for joining us. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing great, guys. How are you?
Awesome. This is so much fun. JP just got back from Idaho, where he was on a PCA panel discussion with Anthony Vieira. JP, welcome home. How nice was it to sleep in your own bed last night?
Definitely great to be back. Thanks so much for our Spud syndicate up there. We'll talk about them a little bit more in Our Smiths and everything that went on this weekend. It was a great time, but we are going to get after it on the show. If you're new to the show, because you're here to see Michael, what we do on the show is we analyze listings on Bringa Trailer Cars and Bids, Car Market, and other auction sites. As a result of our analysis, we will make predictions, and you can play along with us in the comments. It's great if you're watching live right now, because the live section, what we call the Nerd Herd, is where you're going to find the real talent. All of our friends, all of your new friends are hanging out there playing along with us. We want to give a shout out to Rex Cars, one of the Nerd Herd members who hangs out and watches quite a bit. But everybody give him a solid. His mom passed away this morning, 94 years old. So shout out to Rex. We feel for you, man. Thanks for hanging out here, and hopefully we can take your mind off of it for at least an hour. So, all right, guys, let's get after it. It's been a week. We took a day off. We didn't do a show like we usually do every Wednesday, this last Wednesday, because I was out of town. So let's go over the cars from last week. Some big results from last week, huh, Deep?
All right, JP, we're going to go all the way back because we had Steve Thiel from Godden Classic on, the Porsche dealership in Las Vegas that is largely responsible for JP and I being inseparable over these last 5 or 6 years. Steve is the classic manager out there, and they decided to bring a trailer. We're going to circle right back to this stunning 1986 Porsche 911 Carrera Targa. Michael, this is an M491 M470 car. Godden Classic used this car as the donor car to participate in, a couple of years ago, the Porsche Classic Restoration Challenge. I believe this was their 2024 car, and away we go. Michael, feast your eyes on this gorgeous Targa. They found the car in Las Vegas, but it was a Cabriolet at the time. They ran the VIN and found out that the car was a legitimate M491 Targa, and thus this became the perfect donor car. Bring it in-house and begin the refurbishment by adding the Targa bar back to this chassis and rebuilding it in the configuration that it was originally born in. So by the numbers, and I can't remember the numbers off the top of my head, but by the numbers, this wound up being like one of like 7 Carrera Targa M491s for the year, and probably only one of a handful that was ordered without wings, the M470 package. So we've got a turbo look, normally aspirated Carrera Targa with no wings. And then this car went to Monterey during Car Week, where it won a regional award for the preservation class. Because it won there, it got to go and compete nationally, and it won the national event. So this car took home 2 awards in the summer and the fall of 2024. Godden has been sitting on the car for the last year and a half, and now they've decided to bring a trailer with some studio photography. And it was great to have Steve on and regale us with a couple of quick stories about finding the car and putting it back together and then winning the awards and drinking beer from the trophy. And JP, of course, made the movie that accompanied this listing. We don't think that Steve or the guys at Godden had a chance without that great movie. I'm just kidding, Steve. But it was just awesome. JP got to be a part of this, and it was just super, super fun to see them do so well with perhaps one of the most interesting entries the Classic Challenge has had over the last handful of years. Putting the Targa bar back is not something most people would endure the expense to do. But they did it, and they won an award for it, and now you could purchase this super rare Carrera Targa Turbo look. JP, friends at Classic.com tell us that a wide-body Targa is typically a $127,000 car. JP, my bid for this car at auction was $187,000. And then, John, you took the over, coming in at $200,911. So, Michael, this is not a low-mile king car, but this is a car that has been restored to, we would say, tits condition. And then it brought home a couple of trophies. So now Porsche, the dealership, is selling an award-winning car. What do you think of these cars, and then what do you think this one might have hammered for on Bring a Trailer?
Well, I know these cars very well. I had one. I don't know if you guys went back about a year ago. I had an 88 with 50,000 miles that I did sell on Bring a Trailer, a wide-body Targa M491. So I know well. Mine was one of 16 examples that were produced that year. And I sold mine. I did a no-reserve auction, which was a little crazy. But I sold mine for $170,000. I'm guessing this car, and that was obviously September or October of 24. I'm guessing that this car had to hammer somewhere around 190,000 now. I mean, that's got to be a solid guess.
Good bid. If your car came back to market with that odometer and a G50, you'd be over 200 today with that car.
100%. 100%.
200 for your car. And I think 190 is a hell of a bid. So, Michael, I think I beat you by like $1. Our car hammered for a respectable $184,444 where it sold on 37 bids. Michael was at 190, but I came in under you by $3,000, so I'm just an inch closer to you than this one. But that's a great bid right out of the gate. JP, have you talked to Steve since this car sold at auction? Because that's just an outstanding result. We know they've got to be very happy and very proud of the job they did. Matt in the comments was very good, very engaging with his comments. A lot of praise for the car and the trophy. What do you say, JP? Any word from Steve on this?
Just briefly, I reached out to him and congratulated him, of course, for the auction closing. We were right in the middle of our presentation up there in Idaho this week, or this last weekend.
Saturday
so it was
morning
it was actually, we were during the actual presentation. I'm up there on the phone being totally rude to our audience, but they were all great. No, this car is fantastic. Steve was very gracious, said he couldn't have done it without us. That's not true. They totally could have. But I am proud to have been part of this team to make it happen. Steve knows what he's doing, and his team knows what they're doing. He didn't exactly reach out to me about this listing ahead of time because he let his team kind of run the show on this. I think they left money on the table. I think this car is worth more. It should not have closed on a Saturday. This car should have closed during the week. And this car, the photos should have had some real photos of the car with the dang top off. They didn't do that. All of these said studio photos have the top on, and this is a romantic car. This car is so much fun to drive. I think the lead photo should have been one without the top on. And folks in the comments had to say, hey, do you have any pictures of the top off? And they added them after the fact.
Let's ask Michael, because Michael's been doing a hell of a job since he came online with his channel. JP and I love nerding out on the minutia of the listings. JP is a producer and I'm in sales. Michael, what do you think? Do you ever allow your cars to start or close on the weekend during the football season? And when you have an open top car, whether that's a cab or a Targa, would you ever list a car without photos of both the top on and off or the top open or closed. What are your thoughts, Michael, on the minutia of the listing? We're just splitting hairs here. It's an outstanding result, but we want to hear from a fellow expert because you're in the space and you're doing a hell of a job.
I appreciate that. Sometimes I get a little nervous and I try to look into the future of what day the car is going live, what day it's going to end, and to see whatever is conflicting. Is there a game? Is there something crazy where no one's going to be in the room at that exact moment? And I made a couple mistakes where nobody was around because something big was happening. But I try to watch it very closely. I'm really on top of this right now. As far as photography goes, I don't miss a beat. You guys know it from my listings. We have to, if we have a car with the Targa top, we have to basically do double the amount of pictures. Yeah. So it has to legitimately be done in every single angle possible with the top on and with the top off. And if it's a car that has a hard top, like a
it sounds like he's glitching out, but it sounds like Michael is in agreement with us that you really got to make sure that if you're going to do this, that is the problem with convertibles. I'm a big fan of convertibles, but he's right. When you go to sell them, you got to make twice as many photos. Top on, top off, a hard top. I never thought of that off the top of my head. He's right. You got to make one. You got to make the photos with top up,
twice as many,
top down, and with the hard top. I mean, gee, this is crazy. That's got to be a lot to do, but I think in this case, it would have made them a lot more money if they were able to pull it off. We'll see if we can get Michael back on here in a little bit. Yeah.
Lucas, have Michael call back in, and then JP, imagine an R107 SL500. Okay, so you've got hard top on, and then you've got soft top up. Then you've got all tops off with the convertible bar, but the roll bar is down or the roll bar is up. So is that 4 complete buckets of photos outside? I mean, my God, you're going to charge $6,000 to shoot an R107. Cars are only worth $16,000. I mean, my God. Oh, it's so difficult. But it's true. I agree with you, JP. I know you teased Steve a little bit about it when we had him on the show. And I just feel like, that's just like, sometimes you walk out of the bathroom and your fly is not all the way up. I think it's a small error. I really do think that the number that they got reflects the rarity and the quality of the car. But you'd like to see guys that have such a great attention to detail, reach out to people who are in the space and make sure, they can have you have your eyes over the listing before it goes live. And this is something that they certainly can catch in the future and make sure they don't do something like that again. Then JP, I'll pound the table until my fist bleed. You cannot open or close a car auction on Bring a Trailer during the weekend, during the football season. I think that's a miss. People are very distracted. I know there wasn't really a game this weekend, but I just stay off weekends as a rule of thumb. And it turns out I think it works.
Can you see me?
Hey, hold on. Sorry, guys. I'm going to dip them out. Okay, so anyways, let's move on. Let's get to the next car. What do you guys think of the results of this great Targa? We are going to see what the next car is, and what do we got as the next car?
All right, JP, running no reserve on cars and bids was this 1995 Acura NSXT that has 320,600 miles from new. And this was a one-owner car. The car looks to be in amazing, excellent, original condition, JP. But the big news here was this was a car that was listed as a big marketing stunt by the fine folks over at Coinbase. And they were partnering with Cars and Bids to run this car, and that the car must be paid for in US dollar coin on the Coinbase platform. And so this was, the idea of like using a stable coin to buy a hard asset. This is a big, again, just a big marketing ploy by Coinbase to bring attention to that. And I honestly thought that the car was more interesting. That you got this stunning NSX with a crazy odometer, and the car looks like it's got, JP, the car looks like it has 32,000 miles, not 320. So I honestly thought the car was more interesting than the stunt, but I thought we should cover it because of the stunt. So JP, we check over at classic.com, and they remind us that the average NSX-T from 1995 is typically a $99,000 car. John, our car was up to like $70,000 or $75,000 when we were covering it, and it looked to me like it might get close to the average, which doesn't make any sense. But I bid high. I went $95,000. JP, you took the under at just $82,000. And Steve Thiel, who was in studio with you in the Rami studio, his bid on this car was $101,000. JP, our car ultimately hammered for $80,567, where it sold on 50 bids. So a lot of action on this car, a lot of eyeballs and a lot of press on this car. It was running no reserve. $320. That number to me represents more about the hype, about the eyes that were on the car, than the true value for a high mileage car. To me, JP, this was a $45,000 to $55,000 car. I do not think this was an $80,000 car. It just is what it is. Doug DeMiro, Coinbase, all the press that was written about it. I think somebody bought the advertisement instead of the asset. Congratulations, you bought the Coinbase car for $80,000. When you're done with this, you're going to have to you're going to have to go and sell this thing, and I think you're going to lose 30 or 40 grand on it. So, JP, where are you at on the $80,000 result on this particular car?
Yeah, what an amazing stunt, huh? I mean, it's pretty darn. I mean, I guess it's pretty awesome that it actually worked. I just don't know where people came up with all this. There's been so much talk about crypto lately, and I think this week has been kind of tough with precious metals kind of skyrocketing up, and then there was kind of a sell-off later in the week. I was really concerned about how this one would do. And guys, hold on just a second here. I'm having some click-through here issues. Deeb, let's move on from this one. Can you kind of wrap this one up, and then I'm gonna.
Yeah, we're done. That's it. Somebody overpaid for the Coinbase car. No big deal. Not surprised. JP, we take a second look at the 1985 AMC Eagle sedan with a 5-speed manual that has been completely safaried out. Look, I don't like these cars. I don't care about these cars. But there is something utterly cool about this car being jacked up with some off-road lights and some big fat knobby tires, and that they photographed the car outdoors in the snow. And of course, the AMC Eagle is an all-wheel drive vehicle. I'm digging this thing. 5-speed manual transmission, true mileage unknown. And when was the last time somebody said, hey, I'll drive in my Eagle? I mean, I can't believe this car is even on the road. I thought they were just basically extinct like the bald Eagle was. The car has been treated to a motor swap. It now has a 4.6 liter stroker inline six. It doesn't make that much more horsepower, but it probably makes quite a bit more torque, making this car all the more usable if you have a house up where it snows. So, JP, this was just kind of a fun listing. I mean, you've safaried everything else under the sun. Why not an all-wheel drive Eagle sedan? I was digging this thing. JP, our friends at classic.com remind us that, it's going to take me a second to do this. I think they were, while I'm just waiting for my page to load, I think that these cars, the average price for these, according to their friends at classic.com, is...
Boy, that weather looks like what the whole Northeast has been getting this last week. Somebody who would have had this car would have been, I mean, they'd have been good to go. While all the other all-wheel drive Audis and stuff would have been in the ditch. This guy is just making tracks. All right, what'd you find?
Look at that thing. All right, so Classic.com tells us the Eagles go for $11,000 in the secondary market. That being said, I didn't think this car would go much higher than that. My bid came in at $14,400. JP, you took the under by $1,200. Your bid, $13,200. And Steve Thiel, please forgive me, I did not write down your bid on this one. Maybe we have it in the comments. JP, our car hammered for a whopping $15,000, where it sold on 15 bids. I'd say that's a very successful auction for this car. That guy's got to be thrilled with that result. Somebody has to, maybe somebody can drive it home from Balua, Michigan, to wherever they decide to reside with their new Eagle sedan. JP, what do you make of $15,000 for the Eagle? That's pretty good for a very niche car, is it not?
Yeah, I mean this one really does seem pretty badass for one of these, though. I got to admit. Look, we just bought Greenland, didn't we? Isn't that like another state at this point? I think if you're like going, hey,
I don't know if we paid for it, but
I don't know. Whatever, it's ours now. It's America. They're putting flags up there. I think we're gonna have to pay those guys or something $100,000 each, or I don't know how it's working out. But I think that was part of the deals that everyone also got a classic 1985 AMC Eagle. If I were a Greenlandian and I were offered a classic AMC Eagle plus $500,000 to sell America, I'd be like, you had me at AMC Eagle. What do you guys think of the results of that car? What's the next one on the list, Deeb?
If the winning bidder brings that car to Greenland, is it still a domestic vehicle?
Yes, absolutely. Since that's
Too soon.
Are we going to see a Greenlandian a Greenlandian car manufacturer? I know they make they make the, what is it, not in Iceland,
Toboggan?
they make the ones. No, in Iceland they make the ones with the hydrogen. They make hydrogen cars there. But I don't know if they have that in Greenland. Anyways, all right, move on. What's the next
Moving
one?
on, yeah. All right, JP picked for us this badass 1966 Chevrolet Impala Sport Coupe with an LS power plant that was running no reserve on Bringa trailer. This car now has the 5.3 liter LY5 V8. Car still has a four-speed automatic transmission, but it looks pretty good on these steely wheels with the chrome rings. It's lowered. It's got the Demon drop. Very hot car. Look, the car's got all the looks. My feeling is that the boomers that love these cars are selling them, not buying them. This car was running no reserve. JP thought a car like this might appeal to a young person who, you know, if the young person wants an old car, they don't care if it's a young timer or a 60s car. I think was something around your argument. I'll let you speak to that in a second when we discuss the absolute result on this. Our friends at classic.com say that the Impalas that are stock, not modified cars, typically bring $39,000. JP, despite the mods making the car look more attractive, I don't think that the mods made the car more valuable. My bid, 29 grand. JP, you took the under at 25, and then Steve Thiel surprised both of us by going over at $34,000. Our car, unfortunately, hammered for just $22,000, but fortunately for the winning bidder, it sold at that number off of just 13 bids. So JP, I just want to say, these cars are going nowhere. I feel sorry for people that put a lot of money into them because I don't think anybody's going to ever get a lot of money out of them. And when we look at the bid count, a no reserve auction for a relatively cool car, I will agree with you. This car's got eyeball and curb appeal. I would love to drive it. I don't want to own it. But no reserve auction, it only got 13 bids. I'm just telling you, there is no action on cars from this era. What do you make of 22 grand from the no reserve Impala?
Yeah, it's probably a good thing that I was traveling this week because I probably would have bought this thing. I think that, look, I'm going to give that the Hippie Sips deal of the week. I know it didn't get a ton of bids.
That was all the money.
I don't know. I still think that there's something here on this car. I think it's just, this is one of those cars that it's just the wrong time of year. And I know that the hot cars right now are selling despite the fact that there's a pile of snow in the background of this thing. But I think these types of cars are, this really is a seasonal type of thing. It's kind of like motorcycles. People will go out and buy stuff like this as the weather gets nicer. This is a lot of car, and it is something for the young timers. I do think that the young people that are out there, there are a lot of folks who appreciate bespoke stuff. And I agree with you, Deeb. I don't think this car is ever going to be a 50 or 60 or, whatever $1,000 car again. Yeah. But I do think that there are a lot of people out there that want cool stuff and don't have hundreds of thousands of dollars, but they might be able to drum up $20,000, $30,000 for something fun. And there's not a lot of car you can get for that much money anymore. $20,000 seems like, geez, that's just nothing. This is a pretty cool car to have in your garage for that little money. What do you guys think? Do you think there's a future for these old American cars? Not numbers matching, lowered, looking cool. I think there's something there. Do you guys agree with me, or do you think, like Deeb, they're just going to get plowed by the snow plows, just like the piles of dirty snow in the background? Let us know. Let's move on. What do we got next?
JP, I will call this the white boy lowrider. It's a cool car, but it's not worth anything. JP, on Cars and Bids was this very hipster cool 1981 Honda Civic 1500 GL hatchback with a 5-speed manual transmission. And JP, a 1981 car with a Weber carburetor. I would have thought everything by 1981 was fuel injected, but I'd be wrong. I would have lost and I'd be drinking right now. 1.5 liter inline 4 front wheel drive, 5-speed manual hatchback. This was one of the cars. This is like the Honda that put Honda on the map in this country. They sold a boatload of these things. Anyway, 79,500 miles showing on a clean Georgia title, but the car was down in Rancho Mirage, California, unless the Georgia title is a misprint, but whatever. Anyway, these cars aren't worth big money. Our friends at classic.com say, yeah, 10 grand, that's all of it. I thought maybe $8,888. JP took the over at $9,999. And Steve Thiel, who would be the smartest one of the three of us, came in underneath me by over $1,000 at just $7,800. Steve, congratulations. Your prize is this car, which hammered for $6,000 and sold on 26 bids on Cars and Bids. JP, I think all old cars will always do better on Bring a Trailer, but this car, there's just something so Doug DeMiro about this car. I actually think, maybe it could have got more money on BAT, but this car is perfect on Cars and Bids. I just don't care. It's kind of funny and novelty to look at, but I don't know. Why did you pick it again?
I do think it's a novelty, but I do think that there's a lot, kind of like the Impala, there are a lot of wannabe enthusiasts out there. There are a lot of young people that just don't have $100,000 for a freaking 911 SC. But they want to get in on the action. They want to have fun. They don't want to drive something boring. So I think a car like this absolutely represents an opportunity, and I think this car is worth more. I think it was presented poorly. I think this is definitely one of these situations where Cars and Bids did not push the seller to represent this thing better. I know it's not worth a lot, so the Cars and Bids people aren't going to spend a lot of time on a under $10,000 car seller, but this car would really have benefited from some more romantic photography. The person who won the bid obviously agrees that this car has legs. They immediately put it on Auto Trader for, let's see here, they're listing it for $14,999 with the exact same photos. This car, folks, you can go over to Auto Trader and reach out to the seller who didn't even bother to take new photos before he listed this freaking thing. Come on, dude.
Are you sure that it wasn't on Auto Trader the whole time it was on Cars and Bids and they just haven't taken the ad down yet?
It's the same. Everyone's calling him out in the comments on this thing.
My God.
The guy who won, I think his name is Used Cars 41 or something like that.
Dealer bought it.
Yeah. And you can see he's bid on a ton of stuff and won stuff. So the dealers know that there's still opportunities on things like Cars and Bids. I mean, if he gets 10 grand on this is not a bad return on a small investment.
Look, give me that handle again, JP. What's his name? Dealer what?
Well, now you're going to make me dig through. This is really great for the flow of the show here. Let's get the host of the show to dig through the used car 14. Yes. Okay.
So are we not positive? And I'm just speculating here.
Mm-hmm.
Are we not sure that Used Cars 14 isn't an employee in Oyster Bay?
They're too busy trying to get people to sell their watches for $2,000 on their stupid channel.
Right. All right, cool.
Look, I wanted to bring that up too, just because, the photography on this thing is terrible, but I think this is all the more reason to use quality photos. If you get a good photographer out there, and someone tries to buy your car, or someone buys your car to flip it, and they use your photography, you have the right to go to those guys and go, hey, you don't have rights to those photos. I give rights to Cars and Bids to use those photos. I have rights to whoever, but you don't, especially because I paid another photographer. They give me a sub-license to use those for the listings, not for you to use those photos for a listing. So again, all the more reason to hire a good photographer that actually knows what the hell they're doing. You're going to get more money for the car. And if someone tries to flip the car and use your photos later, other people are also going to notice, hey, those are the same really good photos that were on the other listing. What the hell? tell what gives, man. What a low, it's just a bottom feeder. I feel like this guy's a bottom feeder to use someone else's photos. Take your own photos, jerk. All right,
Absolutely.
let's move on.
One quick shout out to the Nerd Herd. We lost Michael Graubart tonight because of some glitches with his audio. Michael, sorry, we can't log you back in. It would be better if we get that stuff worked out, and we'll have you back on the show. We are going to cover one of Michael's cars when we come back from commercial tonight. But a big shout out to Michael for spending the time and reserving the hour to be with us. We're sorry we lost him, but we'll get that worked out and have him back when we can get his connection to be perfectly clear. So anyways, JP, I think it's time for a commercial, and then we got some seriously cool cars, including one of Michael's from Michael Motorcars out of New Jersey.
Yeah, our prices on BAT out of hand. We're going to look at some cars here. Is it BAT? I like BAT.
Hey guys, you're probably looking at your watch and wondering if Bid Nerds will ever end. So you better talk to our friends at Our Smiths to make sure your Rolex, Tag Heuer, AP, or any fine timepiece is in tip-top shape. Our Smiths, fine Swiss repair.
All right, well, let's hear. We are back. Welcome back, everybody. All right, our prices out of hand. Is there something to worry about? Are the prices being so high? Is this telling us something? Is this a canary in the coal mine? Is this telling us that we got to get off our dollars? Are we just looking at crazy inflation? Or are there just so many people out there that are going, yeah, you know what? I just have to spend all my money. Screw my 401k. I'm buying a Lamborghini Diablo. What's the first car on the list, Michael Deeb?
All right, JP, check out this 1994 Lamborghini Diablo SE30 that is running as a premium listing and also an alumni listing on Bringa Trailer. Listed by the seller Desert European Motorcars out of Rancho Mirage, California. This car winds up being number 77 out of just 150 SE30 models built for the world. JP, our car is now showing 34,000 kilometers, which is just 21,000 miles. And of course, this is a 5.7 liter V12 mated to a 5-speed manual transmission and a gated shifter. Rear-wheel drive, limited slip, just among the most outrageous looking cars you've ever seen in person. The design of this car, JP, still looks fresh today. There's actually quite a few radiuses on this Lamborghini, and thus it's very much in line with today's design language. But these cars were uber exotic in period, and they're still ultra dramatic today. Now, the SE30 is a special edition of the car, SE Special Edition. I don't know, it's to mark the car's 30th anniversary. This car ran back in November of 2021, JP. Now, that's quite a few years ago. That's 5 years ago, almost 5 years ago. JP, at that time, the car ran and sold for $406,000 out of Camden, New Jersey, with just 1,000 miles less on the odometer. But JP, today, these cars are worth a boatload more money. We got 2 days to go, and the car is already sitting at $675,000. I mean, is that more expensive than what's his name's Murcielagos? You know what I'm saying? Like we're in there, right? Serious collector money. This car, I think, is bound to set a new high watermark when it hammers a few days from now. So JP, I know. Look, I would suggest that most of the people in the Nerd Herd, like you and I, are not really shopping Lamborghini Diablo special editions for our next car this summer. But it is fun to see how the other half lives. And the cars from our youth that for a little while, JP, nobody wanted these things because they were, unreliable and too expensive to maintain. But now owning a car like this winds up being this financial flex. And everybody who has one that's running will tell you it's the greatest car they've ever driven in the world. And so suddenly these cars are all pushing $1 million. And this is just kind of must-see TV. As long as we're going to bother to talk about all the crap that comes down the pike on Bringa Trailer auctions, there's no way we're not going to notice when a Lamborghini that you and I wouldn't have paid like 10 years ago, we wouldn't have paid $150,000 for, now is going to be $750,000. So, JP, where are you at on the manual limited edition SE30 Diablo. Look at that thing. Do you not just want to go drive out Lake Mead in this car? JP, you wouldn't even get this car at a third gear on Lake Mead's road. You know what I'm saying? Like crazy.
Yeah, as long as you've got a AAA tow truck ready for you. Fat Kid Adventures, Nerd Herd member, longtime OG guy. Look, he stole my thunder. All the normal investment opportunities are overpriced right now, so why not buy a car or two? I think there are a lot of people with a lot of money who have that point of view. I think that, crypto is just that's got people just really freaked out at the moment. And with the precious metals doing what they've been doing, it's got everyone on edge. I don't know how you guys are feeling about markets in general. There's talk about blowing up things in Iran or something like that this week. I mean, it's like, is this one of those situations where everyone's just going to dump their money into whatever they can just to try to protect the value of their wealth, of their money? I mean, some of the richest guys in the world are going out and they're buying like T-Rex bones and just like they can't come up with. They're like, I need a dinosaur in my 14th house in Gstaad. I mean, you can only buy so many waterfront condo deposits, there in New Gaza or whatever it is that you're trying to dump your money on. This is just getting out of hand. What do you think this thing is going to bring?
JP, there is the cutest little dinosaur bone boutique in Gstaad. You have to stop by. You and Rochelle pop in and tell them you met Michael and see if they've got a little T-Rex bone for you. There you go.
I'm telling you, they just franchised it. They're open a whole bunch of them on the new Caribbean. In the Red Sea. Anyways, all right. So how much is it gonna bring?
All right, JP. As I mentioned earlier, this car sold for $400,000 5 years ago. But today, JP, with 2 days to go until our Lamborghini hammers, our car is currently sitting at a respectable and impressive $675,000. That comes to us by way of just 9 bids. But with 2 days to go, JP, I think there's going to be, good grief, man, there's going to be a lot more money coming this way. I've got to go higher. I initially put $706,000 when I picked this car a few days ago. JP, I'm changing my bid. I think this car is going $750,000. And again, wherever it lands, I think it's going to set a new high watermark for the car, at least in recent memory. And I believe that whatever this car handles for, I think we're going to see a litany of Lamborghini Diablos this spring and perhaps this summer, as cars rush to their mechanic to go get fresh tires, a new battery, and an oil change, and come back for photos like this. And everybody's going to run to the Diablo Gold Rush. So, JP, I'm all in on this car. It could go another 100. It could go to 8, but I'm just going to say conservatively 750 easy. And I think if anything, I think my bid is light. JP, you're going to go over 750. We're at 675, and you don't hammer until Tuesday the 3rd.
Yeah, I mean, the Nerd Herders all over this. They're saying higher than you, and I got to go with them. I think this car could potentially be $1 million car. We're seeing, Ferraris of this era are tripling in value. If you had your 918 sitting around and it was worth $1 million, $1.2 million, now it's worth 3 or 4. I don't see why this car isn't on that list. If this were one of they had flappy paddle versions of these, right? And those were pretty awful. This one being the manual, everything with 3 pedals that's hyper exotic like this. These iconic cars from this era are just skyrocketing. I mean, they've parked it in front of, what is this? A big one of those telescope buildings for looking out into deep space. You're going to need that thing to see the price. It's going to be so damn high that you're going to need a telescope and look into space to see how much money you're going to need for this car. I'm not going to say million. I would not be surprised, but I'll go. I'm going to go 850. I'll go significantly over you.
850.
And again,
all right.
Would not be surprised if it goes much, much higher than that. One thing I wanted to bring up with this particular listing, there's a user in the comment group named Manuel Tranny. Boy, these got to be fun. That's his username, folks. You can find him at the Kids Story Hour at your local library. He asked the question.
That's very Bay Area. That's very Bay Area.
He asked the question, or she, as it were, asked the question. They asked the question. The bid went from like $100,000 up to like 600. It just literally tripled or more than that. And Manuel Traney asked, why would someone bid 3 times the current bid with 10 days left of the auction? And I thought that was something interesting to bring up, because I think that is our good friend Chris Carbine did that with the Targa 491 car that we were talking about earlier in the show. And I think you did a good job to kind of like, you don't want to be bidding. You want to be bidding against as few people as possible, because you don't want more people in the room that will be kind of coaxed into bidding more than they would have originally, or what they planned. And that's what happens when you get a bunch of people that get excited and everyone's bidding and you wind up way over your mark. I think it is a good strategy to bid high early to clear out the room of the riffraff. What do you think of that theory, Deeb?
Yeah, it's very interesting, JP. So I listed a Shelby GT350 on the Club Wheelhouse account that I represent for Club Wheelhouse here in the Bay Area. And the Shelby went live. JP, the very first bid on that car was $40,000, and the next bid was $45,000, and those were all at like 6 in the morning on Thursday last week. So it's interesting to see how some people will take that bid, up into a range where they think they might actually have a chance to win the car with their bid, even though it's on day one of a week-long auction. We've been doing this for so long. We've seen everything. I mean, P-Car Market, they don't get any bids. Nobody wants to bid because they don't want their credit card rung for money on hold for a week. So nobody bids on day one with P-Car Market at all. It's a lot of times when we're, picking cars for the show, if it's on P-Car Market, we have no indication how the auction is going until the auction is over. It's very, very weird. But this strategy of putting more money into the pot early, I'm starting to notice that as a trend to watch. I don't really have an opinion on it. I think just putting a bid in my humble opinion, putting a bid in to establish yourself in the room and make sure your credit card is working is the way to go. And then you just sit quiet. And if you're serious about buying the car, you are not bidding until the clock is running, and that's it. That's just. I feel that that's where the pros are. That's what the person who truly wants to acquire the asset is going to live in that space. Put one bid in. It doesn't matter where it is. Just let the seller know you're in the room, and that's it. And then the real bidding all happens when the clock starts winding down.
Yeah, I mean, I think the big question is really: is the seller someone that knows what the market's doing, and how high a reserve did he ask for, and would he have the ammunition to ask for a much higher reserve than BAT would normally have given him? That'll be interesting to see the results and see if we can figure that one out. What do you guys think of this Diablo? Will it break records? Will it break $1 million? Let us know in the comments, and let's move on. What's the next car on the list?
Yeah, I'm guessing this car is selling just where it's at 675, JP, but that's just my hunch. Okay. Again, the classic average for that car was 406, but there's not a lot of data. There's a lot of transactions that are undisclosed overseas. So there's just, even though they've got like all these different listings from cars selling at auction, they only had results on 2 or 3 cars. And so that number is low, but 675 still seems high, or at least very close to high. JP, we are going to cover one of Michael's cars out of Michael Motorcars. This is a beautiful, and I believe probably pretty rare in this color, 2011 Porsche 911 Turbo S Cabriolet. JP, our car, Michael the Motor Car, is the low mile king. Our car showing just 22,000 miles from new. JP, this is a 997.2 Turbo S Cab. These cars are amazing, except, asterisk, they only came with one transmission, and that is, unfortunately, it's a good gearbox, but unfortunately, it only comes with 2 pedals. You do get 2 paddles, but only 2 pedals. These are all equipped only with the 7-speed PDK dual clutch transaxle, and they're all-wheel drive. Could you imagine, JP, if you could have got a Turbo S cab with a manual and rear-wheel drive, what that car right there would be worth. JP, Azzurro California is a Ferrari color. I do not think Porsche offered it. If they did, very few people would have taken it. If not, that could be a paint to sample color. This would have been great if Michael was here to let us know. And of course, I did little to no research on this, but a very, very cool car. We kind of expected him to rant on about it. JP, the one thing I'm very miffed about, do you take a look at the interior? Is there any way you could click ahead to
I get to that,
interior
sure.
photo?
Yeah.
There are, what I'm going to describe to the audience is a two-tone leather. You've got the black leather, but the center of the seats and the door cards are a light blue gray. They call it titanium blue leather. I'm guessing that this car was ordered bespoke for a pretty high roller, and they were trying to do something to tie in the light blue metallic exterior by doing this sort of blue-gray leather center seats. Now, again, if you like yourself a one-of-one car with a low odometer, here is your car. But I would have preferred this car a million times over with a monochrome interior. That being said, JP, these are fantastic driving cars. It would be awesome if you had a third pedal and you could row your own gears. But the power plant in this is not a Mesker engine. This is a 3.8-liter DFI that is making 530 horsepower. And it was perhaps one of the most powerful 997 motors that ever came out of Stuttgart. So super rare color, super low odometer, very, very cool car. JP, if ever there was an example that was going to set a new high water mark for the Turbo S Cabriolet, I do think it's this car here. That is a very popular Ferrari color, and it happens to look fantastic on this Porsche. So JP, what do you make of this car? I know you've driven several turbo cabs. Rami, our good friend Rami, our buddy Rami, has one, and he's very generous with the keys to that car. I know you've put probably thousands of miles on a 997 turbo cab with the Mesker engine. But what do you think of getting, like, basically, JP, this is like, 55, 60 more horsepower and the, ceramic brakes and center lock wheels, but you're straddled with the PDK. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, this car, that's a lot of car, and Porsche collectors love stuff like this. They love the one-of-one thing. This car is not for me. I have to have one of these with 3 pedals. If it's a car that's available with 3 pedals, you get one with 3 pedals. I know that you can't get an S with 3 pedals, but I'm just spending less money on a regular 997 turbo with 3 pedals, an older generation one. That being said, who cares what I think? This car is going through the stratosphere. This because it's low miles, because it's the color in the interior. I could hate this car. Doesn't matter what I think of this car. This car, there's a market for this thing, and the collectors want it. I think this car is going to break some records. And if it is your cup of tea, boy, it's just in perfect condition. It's just absolutely perfect. What do you think it's going to break?
Yeah. Okay. Center locks, ceramic brakes, all stock. The regular turbo, the regular 997.2 turbo had 500 horsepower. The Turbo S gives you those pieces plus the PASM Sport suspension and an extra 30 horsepower. That's what made the Turbo S so special. It's a bummer that the Turbo S wasn't offered with a manual, because those that would have ordered it would be sitting on probably, JP, like $500,000 cars. Mm-hmm. That being said, listen to this, JP. Our friends at Classic.com tell us that the average selling price of a Turbo S cab is only $99,000, and that's usually for a car that's got twice as many miles as the car you see here. This car has low miles and the rare shade, and probably winds up being one of one. Our car is currently sitting at $110,000, and we still have 2 days to go. As this car, that's on 19 bids. Our car doesn't hammer until Tuesday, February 3rd. JP, I think it gets another 50 grand before it hammers. My bid, $160,000, and sets a new high watermark, and will literally bring up the Classic.com average with the sale of this car here when it happens, when it hammers, when it sells for 160 grand on Tuesday. JP, what is your bid for the Turbo S cab?
Yeah, I mean, the boomer PCA collector who already has 3 or 4 houses and needs just more cars for their different houses and won't help their grandkids pay off their student loan. This is the car for them. They're going to spend all the freaking money on this thing. It is, whew, boy, I'm going higher. I'm going over your number, and I'm going to say $180. I think you're 100%.
I wouldn't be
right.
surprised.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised.
This is
awesome.
definitely a collector's dream. Yeah, and I'm sure it drives great. And PDKs are fantastic. As a if you're going to do the 2-pedal thing, the PDK is the way to go. And someone's going to be very happy when they get this car.
Really quickly, JP, Michael Motorcar had just like a couple days ago, he had a 996 Turbo S cab with ridiculously low miles, and it was bright yellow. And a manual transmission, and that car, on average should have been like $85,000 for a car with a lot of 996 Turbo S cabs have a lot of miles on them. So the average selling price for those is like 85 grand. Michael sold his car for $158,000 for a 996 Turbo S cab. So here's the 997 Turbo S cab, also with ridiculously low miles and an unusual shade. So JP, $180,000, totally in play. Michael does this time and time again. So there you go. The Azuro, California.
We gotta talk about this too. I mean, Michael's doing it right as well. Shout out to all our friends, including our friends at Godden Classic, who had a great result on their Targa. But if you really want all the money, and one of the other reasons that this car is going to do so well, despite my turning my nose in the air against this car is presented perfectly. You have all the pictures of the car with the top down, and there are an equal amount of photos of this car with the top up. It would take me forever to click through all the photos. You just have to give the folks that are going to spend the money, they want to have to sit there and click through photos for an hour. The longer they're clicking and looking at more and more photos, the more likely they're going to click and bid later. Here it is. He's got every single angle of this car with the top up, after we've already shown you every single angle of the car with the top down.
Look at the top left of the photo of the car, ladies and gentlemen. Look at that number. There are 486 photos in the photo bucket. It sounds ridiculous. It sounds excessive. It's pure saturation. But if you want $180,000 for your car, give them everything. It's okay. It's worth it to spend another $1,000 to shoot all the pictures twice when you're trying to sell a $180,000 asset, which ironically is JP's bid on this car and essentially what they got for the Godden Classic car. So when you're talking about that, just do what it takes. So there you go. Amazing. Well done.
Our boy Rex Cars is bidding $231 grand. Are you paying per photo? Like, is that like, what is it, 500 or 5,000? I don't know. I can't do math. All right. What do you guys think? Let's move on. What's the next car on the list, Michael Deeb?
All right, JP. You know more about these cars, but check out this 1987 Mercedes-Benz 300 GD with a 5-speed. JP, I just kind of dig the look of this one. Short wheelbase, full hardtop, manual transmission, and I believe that the diesel I thought it had a turbo, but I guess I'm wrong. It's just a diesel. So it's it's like 85 horsepower and 125 pound-foot of torque. I'm digging the plaid interior. Kind of looks like, remember the 944s had that studio check interior on like the anniversary car, the silver rose. This interior, the inserts of the interior on this look really cool. Also in the back, JP, they did military bench seats facing each other, longitudinally in the back of the car. So there was something about the look of this car, the year of the car, the manual transmission, the diesel engine. I just really dig these things. I think they're kind of a fun little car and an entry into your crawler, whatever, off-road spec. This is a great entry car for that genre of classic car. And even if this thing goes for all the money, I think they wind up being sort of affordable. And I just love them. I had two Mitsubishi Montero. I had the Dodge Raider. I had the Dodge Raider, which was the rebranded Mitsubishi Montero. But I had the Dodge Raider version of these cars with a big 2.5 liter inline 4 and perfect pedal placement. I could heel and toe in that car better than any car I've ever owned. And I've had two of those things. I put thousands of miles on a vehicle just like this, but I always thought the Mercedes ones were really dope, and this one just looked really cool. So JP, tell everybody in the audience why they should either listen to me and buy this thing or listen to you and not buy this thing. What do you like about these? With I know the diesel's pretty flat, but like, God, that's just such a cool car for the money. What do you think?
Yeah, again, this is an example of a poor listing. Some better photos, more romantic photos would have gone a long way for this car. So whatever the result is going to be,
these are cell phone shots, right?
Yeah, it's going to leave money on the table. I mean, just half in the shadows, half in the light. It's just not representing this thing well. But the car itself, I think, will out. The car, the truck will kind of overcome the poor assets, because it really does seem to be in about as good condition as I've seen one of these older ones. A lot of times these TDs, or the GDs with the diesel, were really treated poorly because they weren't appreciated very much. So they were kind of cheap. A lot of these have been on the beach and have been rusted to hell. And this one seems to be pretty solid. The owner hasn't had it for very long, so that's and doesn't seem to know anything about it. They didn't test the lockers, which really would have me worried. The tachometer on this car doesn't work. And with a vehicle like this, I mean, the top speed of this car on the freeway is probably like 60 miles an hour, maybe 65 if you're lucky, which means you're going to be wrapping it out, and if you're like my partner Deeb, you're going to be heel towing, trying to get every bit of power out of this thing. And you need to know where the red line is, otherwise you're going to blow this poor little diesel up. So yeah, I think those are some details that need to be sorted out, but I suspect the lockers probably work, and repairing that tachometer probably wouldn't be the hardest thing in the world. What were you going to say, Deeb?
I just dig it. It's got like a little lift kit, and it's got like an aftermarket bumper on the rear. I'm with you.
It's even got some kind of in-period air conditioning unit, I think, there.
Right.
I'm curious if that works, because this would be great here in the desert in Las Vegas. I'm kind of loving that. I see this thing going to a beach, though. I mean, somebody's got to put a surfboard on this. All right, what's it going to be?
It's in a beach right now. I forgot to mention that this car is listed showing 40,000 kilometers, which is 25,000 miles shown on a frozen odometer, true mileage unknown, out of Inlet Beach, Florida. JP, just such a cool car, man. All right, so here we go. Suspension lift kit, front disc brakes, LED lights, spare carrier, bucket seats, blah, blah, blah. Okay, here we go. JP, our car is sitting at $31,000, and she closes tomorrow. That's 13 bids, and she closes in 16 hours. Our friends at classic.com have a column for this car. They say on average $37,000 to get one of these, but we're at 31 now. I think it's going to best that number by a few bucks. Just because of the look, I think this car is going to do a little better than average. My bid for this car is 40 grand, and I still think that's a pretty fair value. JP brought up the question marks about the lockers, and if it doesn't get to my number, I think it's because of questions that weren't answered by the listing, and the listing, as my partner said, is poor. These are cell phone shots, and the presentation is leaving money on the table, and some of that money might have been the money I think the car deserves but might not achieve. So, JP, we're at 31. I'm at 40. Where are you?
Yeah, you stole my bid. This car, the funny thing is, this is one of those examples of a vehicle that the top, if this were a convertible, it'd be worth 140 or more. It's crazy how much the two-door ones go for. But it's not. It's a hard top. But again, I think money right now, people are looking for cool stuff to buy. 40 grand is nothing these days. I'm going to go over you, but not by much. I'm just going to do the 41, be safe on this. It would not surprise me if this did 50. I think this is a $50,000 to $60,000 example if someone presented it correctly. If you buy this thing for under 50 grand, you're getting a deal. This is the Hippie Sips buy of the week. Bid on this thing if you can get it for under $50,000. I think you could hire the bid nerds to take proper photos and video and relist this thing in a few months and get your 50 or higher. Let us know what you guys think. Let's do a speed round on these other two cars, dude. Yeah, real quick. So besides that dark blue Shelby with the white racing stripes on the Wheelhouse account,
I have an Alfa Romeo A12 flatbed pickup truck on my account. And we were talking about this car maybe does 60 or 65. I have driven that Alfa Romeo on the freeway, and it tops out at 51 miles an hour. I'm in the slow lane with my hazards on, apologizing to people as they almost run me over. So I know what that feels like. Oh, it's just terrible when you can't go fast. But this, believe it or not, this thing's a rocket ship compared to that A12. If you have a minute, we'll cover both of those cars.
We got a speed run.
We'll cover those cars on the next show.
Cool.
Okay, JP, on P-Car Market is a 944 Porsche S2 Cabriolet with a 5-speed manual transmission showing 103,000 miles. JP, our friends at classic.com tell us that the average selling price of one of those is 19 grand. Our car is currently sitting at 8250, and it closes in like a day, like 2 days. It closes on Tuesday. JP, my bid for the S2 cab is 16,000 even. What do you think of the car? What's your bid?
Yeah, poor listing on P-Car Market. I think this car is probably worth somewhere in that $15,000 to $17,000 range, but it's not going to get anywhere close to that. I don't think this thing breaks 10. I think everyone's going to wait and see what it's worth, what they want for it in the chum bucket. I'm going to go 99 and 99. What's the next car, Deeb?
Okay, JP, I picked one just to put a stone in your shoe. Feast your eyes on this lovely 2004 Jaguar XJR.
What are we doing?
Is 27,000 miles, 4.2-liter supercharged V8, unmodified, sitting at $11,000 with 2 days to go on Cars and Bids out of Campbell, California. It's right here, JP. You can come and visit me when you pick up your new Jaguar to replace the S55 that will soon be leaving your garage space. JP, my bid for this car, even though we're at $11,000 now, I think this car, which is in excellent condition, is going to hammer for $18,500. What's your bid on the Jaguar Hemorrhoid?
Bentley baller on a budget. I'm gonna say 12 grand. The owner better take the money. Nobody wants one of these. Nobody even knows they exist. Nobody's gonna realize that it's an R. They are actually. I actually owned one of these for a second from a dealership that I worked for. They gave me one. Long story, but we'll talk about it more on the other side. What a pile of crap. Don't buy this car, guys. All right, guys, that was a great show. Thanks for having us back. We missed you being gone for a whole week. We will be here on a regular schedule for the foreseeable future. We have amazing guests lined up. You guys won't believe some of the folks who are going to be joining us on this show, so make it a point to join us every Sunday and Wednesday. Lucas has been murdering at getting guests.
He's got a calendar.
Yeah, I don't think there's an episode that doesn't have an amazing guest for at least the rest of the month. So we look forward to seeing you.
Jump on my two listings and say something about seeing it on Bid Nerds on Wednesday night. The Alpha A12 and the Shelby GT350. Thanks, JP.
For sure, and make sure you guys go over to the HippieSips.com website and check out their site and get yourself a case of Hippie Sips. If you haven't already, you need a case. We will see you, Wednesday? Bye.